Hi, everyone. Welcome to another inspiring conversation. Today, we are honored to be joined by Rachel Betterley, the newly crowned Miss Minnesota USA 2026. Rachel is not only preparing to represent Minnesota on the Miss USA stage, but she is also an award-winning educator, community leader, and passionate advocate for the arts. Her journey is a powerful example of how purpose, service, and determination can create meaningful impact both inside and outside the classroom. Join us as we discuss the path to the crown, her commitment to education and community development, and the lessons she has learned along the way. Rachel, welcome and congratulations on becoming Miss Minnesota USA 2026. How are you, Rachel?
Thank you. I'm doing so good. How are you, Sid?
I'm awesome, and thank you so much for your time on this on Saturday. I know it's really early your time.
Yep, that's okay. We time manage it, and 9 o'clock's not too early, so I could manage.
Thank you. Yeah, I know my time is at 4 p.m. So I know when you suggested the time, I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, we find a happy medium.
Awesome. Uh, Rachel, congratulations once again on being crowned Miss Minnesota USA 2026. What was going through your mind the moment your name was called, and how has life changed since that incredible achievement?
Sure. So I was crowned a little. I want to say 2 weeks ago, or going on 2 weeks ago. So it's still very fresh. But I would say what went through my mind was I felt very called. And so last year I was first runner up, and this year, being called the winner, it really solidified all the hard work that I've done, and I felt really called because this is Miss USA's 75th anniversary this year. It's the
Wow,
anniversary year. Yes, which is why the sashes are actually gold and they have all of this gold lining on them. So this was the year where I was like, I feel so called to win. Everything's aligning, and to hear my name and to know that I'm making history while I do it, and it's affirming all the hard work that I've done, was just really exciting. It was really exciting, really fulfilling, and I was just so in my element there. I was ready to get to work right away.
awesome. You have successfully balanced roles as an educator, community leader, art advocate, and title holder. What motivates you to pursue excellence across so many different areas of your life?
It is quite the wide range. For me, I've always been the creative type. It stems back to my childhood, and I try to
Wow.
see art as my life is like a canvas, and I treat that artistry with whatever it is that I'm doing, and that really fuels a lot of the passions. It helps me find balance while still staying true to myself. So whether I'm competing in pageantry, which I consider an art in and of itself, or whether I'm teaching art with students or creating my own art, whether that is painting or on the pottery wheel, I just like to live life in that creative lens, and that helps keeps me balanced.
Awesome. All right. I have a comment question for you here already. Are you okay if I ask it to you now?
Yes.
All right. This is from Resh Chetan. Congratulations, Rachel, on your winnings. You are beautiful. How would you encourage or motivate others to follow and also your contribution to community services?
Oh, okay. So, one of the things that I always say is the best way to motivate others and encourage people to contribute to their community is utilize the talents that you already have. And so it's going to be harder to give back to others if you're not utilizing those talents. So for me, one of the ways that I give back that I find easy and my students can give back is through what I call my empty bowl food shelf fundraiser. And so essentially, what we do is my students will make hundreds of clay bowls and we'll sell them with a soup meal. And I try to
Wow.
show them, it's super cool. I try to show them that when you create, you have value, and what you create has value to your community. And so all the money raised goes to my local food shelves, and we've raised over $30,000 doing that. And it was because they utilized their talents to make that change. So for this question, I say look back at what are you good at? what do you thrive with? Are you a good communicator? Do you know how to make people feel good? Do you work well with children? Do you have a special talent where you are really great at that? You succeed in it. And whatever it is that you succeed in, take that and use that resource to give on to others. And so we don't have to always go a traditional path. Sometimes offering your service for free, or sponsoring someone for free, or sponsoring a child with something, or donating your time or your talents to a specific organization is going to be something that you also find very fulfilling. Well, it's also building your own skills too.
That's really beautiful. All right.
I love
As
that
an
question.
awesome. As an award-winning educator, what lessons from the classroom have shaped the leader and role model you are today?
Oh, my philosophy is, so it really stems back to this notion and this idea that I find art very healing. And so, for those who do not know, my childhood was dark. I endured
Oh,
abuse for many years. Yes. And so it
oh,
took me a while to be able to just openly say that and to share my story. And so, when I was a kid, my go-to, my sanctuary was art. I always had my sketchbook, and with my sketchbook, that was my release. That was where I felt like I could really escape but also explore the emotions that I was feeling. And that's ultimately what led me to become an art teacher, and what led me to continue the work that I do with my own projects that I call sketchbooks for kids, where I provide sketchbook sets to children facing trauma and hardship all over the world. And it's one of those things where in education, and why I teach and why I'm motivated to stay teaching, is because I want to help other kids heal too. But I want them to heal in their own way, because I know they're coming from so many different walks of life.
mm,
But it's through art where they can share their stories, they can share how they feel. And I really want to pull that out of them. So a lot of the work that I do in my classroom is to give them choice, to give them this anything they need to share what it is they have to say while they're building their skills.
I would never have believed that, to the sense that you are so confident and so vibrant, as a person, that you've actually gone through that experience.
I say that it took me a long time to
Okay.
get to this point. However, what has changed me is being able to share my story to those that really need to hear it. And art has been the thing that has been my confidence builder. Creatively expressing myself is what has fueled my confidence. And I owe my life to art and the power of expression. And it sounds so corny in a way, but that's what's helped me evolve. And pageantry's just been that, the extra flavor and the extra frosting to really help elevate it and share it with the world, share my message.
Awesome. The arts often transform lives in ways that are difficult to measure. Why is arts education so important, and what impact have you personally witnessed through your work?
Right. So it's that element of healing, right? But the things that I have witnessed is, I've been teaching for 12 years now, and I teach
Wow.
a variety of levels. So I teach very young children, I teach children who are around the age of 13, and then I also teach high school students that are just stepping into adulthood. And one of the things that I see is their growth and how they view the world and how they view themselves. And so they're able to get really deep with me. And I always say, when it comes to being a teacher and even being a title holder, you're not going to impact every single person you meet. It'll be impossible for me to change or inspire the life of every single child that comes to my room, just because there's so many different personalities in the world. I might not be their taste. I might be, but it's one of those things where if I can help at least one kid, or I help a group of kids where they need art the most, then I'm doing my job as an educator. And luckily, I've been able to hear students beyond graduation. They'll send me a message every now and then. I'll get a message, or I'll get, like, just this past year, I got an email from a student who just graduated about how art and being in my class really helped change her life and made her want to be and pursue the arts and gave her the confidence to do it. And that was that moment where it reaffirms that what I'm doing is helping, and I'm doing it right. And so when I get those random messages, I know that I'm in the right place and I should continue to stay teaching. And sometimes I won't hear those messages, but I hope that beyond it's there, and I've been able to make that impact. And I've also been able to see it as a coach because I coach students at my state art competition that we compete in, and I've coached over 24 winners to win best in show in their art categories, which is essentially a really big deal because they're the winners of those art styles. They win in painting, or they win in drawing or ceramics. And most of the time it's because they're very vulnerable with what they're expressing and they're sharing how they feel. And there's a lot of success in children and students sharing how they feel. And I'm able to pull that out of them. So I know from a technical standpoint that what they're doing is very much high level. We're not just sometimes we're just making art for fun, but we're also making art to share a message. And that's what I try to do in the classroom.
That's really powerful. All right, there's another comment here. It's more of a just, this is from Rishit, and again, wow, I admire you. Thank you for giving back.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate that because you can't, it's one thing to share your message. It's another thing to get a layer of support, especially when you are now, in my case, I have a title, and the title comes with eyes on you, right? And so I think
Mm.
it's powerful to be able to connect, especially with people all over the world who also have the same message. Because if we think about it, art is global, art is universal. It doesn't matter the culture or the language that you speak, you're going to find there is art within the culture everywhere. And that's something that I honor and admire, is it's our universal language, and it's something we can all communicate with regardless of where we are in the world. There is that powerful connection with our creative expression.
That's so true. Growing up and working on Minnesota's Iron Range, how has your community influenced your values, leadership style, and vision for making a difference?
I always like to say that Minnesota is very humble. The state of Minnesota is humble, and they're nature oriented, and that kind of like how we talked about humility earlier, there is this humility that comes with being a Minnesotan. And so
Okay.
for me, I stem back to there is a strong connection with my community. There is support. They don't look at me and think, oh, she's a beauty queen. We don't want to support her. It's like, no, you're a teacher and you're a beauty queen and you're doing all these things. Let's rally around you. And that's something that I've been able to foster with my community in my home state of Minnesota. And so it's really fun because I think it's one of those things that does keep me down to earth, and it does keep me humble, kind of like how teaching has to keep me humble. So if I'm ever floating my way up here, teaching will bring me back down and keep me humble. So it's balanced though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like you having the best of both worlds.
The best of both worlds. I think that's an amazing thing, and it's something that I'd like to see at Miss USA and even Miss Universe, is this concept of balance, of having humility, but also knowing when to celebrate the glam and the power of women, and this magnetism that they can possess in the coolest way. And to have that balance, I think, is not the easiest thing to do and find, but it's something that I try to cultivate when I can.
Awesome. Many young people struggle with self-confidence and finding their voice. What advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue their dreams but is afraid of failure or judgment?
Which that is very, very much known, is this idea of fear and failure. But my advice is you have to be okay with the failure. If you're not okay with the failure, then how do you expect to grow? It's like taking criticism. You have to know there is an art to taking criticism, and to take what people say. You can either take it and turn it into your own and turn it into a lesson, or you can also be like, I'm not going to take what you say and I don't accept that. I'm going to keep staying in my lane and doing my thing. And
Yeah.
even with students, when I work on the pottery wheel, for example, in order to learn how to make really nice pots, you have to know that you have to fail for a very long time before you get really good at working at the pottery wheel, because it's a very intimidating art style for many
Oh,
students when they begin. And I'm like, it's
okay.
okay. I had to learn the art of failure because when I was younger, I was a bit of perfectionist with my art. I had a hard time taking criticism. I always just wanted to be perfect at drawing or perfect at painting. And it was not till later when I was in college where I realized that criticism can be a learning experience. And I even think about pageantry and how I have had a lot of success in pageantry, but I've also had to fail a lot at pageantry in order to obtain the success. And when you take the mindset of it's not necessarily a failure, it's a lesson. Everything that comes your way, every path that you have is a lesson for you to take. It might be a victory, but it might be a lesson that you need, even if you don't want to hear it at the time. And so building confidence, I think, is just trying new things and being okay with the failure, because what can you take out of it? What can you learn from it? I feel like that's the teacher in me, is I'm always like, well, what's the lesson? What do I need to understand here? And then I think that's going to slowly help build your confidence with whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's trying to obtain a certain degree or obtain a certain job or maintain certain relationships in your life. It's always, what can you learn from the experiences, the victories and the setbacks?
But then with criticism, do you kind of look at it whereby if someone gives a criticism that's a bit outlandish, do you like compartmentalize it in knowing which ones are relevant and which ones are not relevant, if I'm making any sense to you?
Yeah, no, I think it's that's the hard part, right? Because it's
Hmm.
when you get criticism that you know is very outrageous,
Yeah.
that's when it can hurt. It can hurt. For example, women in pageantry will experience criticism all the time, and you have to, like you said, compartmentalize it, and
Yeah, yeah. So,
you have to you have to know how to also kind of have thick skin, and you have to
yeah.
know yourself. So the best way to build that thick skin is to know your ultimate goals and values. So if I do have criticism that I might feel harsh, I try to turn back to my values and what I'm here to do. And so one of those values for me is art heals, right? Focusing on creative expression and artistry. So if I am feeling like there's negativity, or if I feel like somebody isn't being the nicest to me, I
Mhm.
turn to the things that do make me feel good. And that sounds kind of cheesy too, but it really is important to turn back to your core values, and that will build the confidence back up again.
Awesome. Pageantry today is about much more than beauty. How do you plan to use the Miss Minnesota USA platform to advocate for education, creativity, and in community engagement?
Oh, my big thing that I want to do is just share my story, share my message to children that need to hear it most, that whatever they might be going through might be hard at right now, but it will and it can get better if you stay in it, if you find some kind of creative outlet to help you heal, it will get better. And then for me, it's also obviously promoting the arts and celebrating the arts, and how art across cultures is such a beautiful thing. But I really do want to continue expanding my sketchbooks for kids project. And I'm able to do that because of women in pageantry. And that's in so many different systems. Because for me, I now that I'm where I'm at in my pageant experience, I want to work with other competitors. I want to work with other beauty queens to help me expand the initiative. because in order to have a global outreach, you have to have global connections. And there's women in pageantry who hold so many different titles that have connections to other countries, for example. And so it's through that connection that I'm able to grow sketchbooks for kids. And it's with the outreach of having this title of Miss Minnesota USA is going to help expand those connections. And so I'm continuing the work that I'm doing, just amplifying it as much as I can.
That's powerful. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced throughout your journey, and how did those experiences help shape the woman you are today?
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to my childhood and the trauma that I have, part of my growth was finally being able to just share it, to just
Mhm.
talk about it. And that is the hardest thing that I've had to do because I thought I was going to bury stuff so deep. But
Wow.
once I finally just opened up, it made this sense of release. I felt like I fell or I got my power back. And by getting my power back, I'm ultimately elevating myself to help others too. And so it's through these titles. I wouldn't be able to have this at all if it wasn't for speaking my truth and getting my power back. And so that's kind of the biggest thing for me was that absolutely overcoming my traumas and healing from it from my childhood and knowing though that it's a part of my story and I don't need to run from it. I don't need to
Yeah.
hide from it. And I would never want another person to
Mhm.
hide from that either and feel they need to bury those hardships that they had in their childhood deep because burying it is not going to it's not going to help you and it's not going to help the people around you. And I know that that can be so heavy in the pit of your stomach and it's not worth holding on to.
Power of dialogue. Yeah. All right. As you prepare to compete at Miss USA, what aspects of the competition are you most excited about, and what personal goals have you set for yourself on the stage?
Oh, I'm so excited because like I said before, I love the art of pageantry. I like treating the stage as if it is a canvas. So everything from what I'm wearing to who I'm collaborating with is all part of setting. It's like that's the paint to the canvas. And so being able to share that with others and inspire people through fashion and photography and through philanthropy, all that ties together. And at Miss USA, I'm there to share that, share the artistry. I have so many exciting things that I am pumped to not only wear but also building the collaborations with other women in my system, working with other state title holders to grow sketchbooks for kids, but also taking in the moment because it's going to be in Miami this year. Miss USA is going to be in Miami and we're
Okay.
celebrating 75 years. It's going to be a beautiful celebration, a lot of sparkle, a lot of beauty queens, but it really is a moment to celebrate the history of Miss USA and its strong roots and connection to Miss Universe. And I see it as an opportunity to celebrate and enjoy the moment. That's one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to overthink it though to the point where I'm missing out on just being
Mhm.
there because being there is absolutely iconic. I hope to take it all the way, get as far as I can because I know my message is strong. But either
Mhm.
way, the impact that I can make along the way, I think, is the ultimate cherry on top when it comes to going to Miss USA.
I guess the key is to keep being your authentic self and being humble at the same time.
I like I said, I try. I think that's very important.
Awesome. All right. Finally, when people look back at Rachel Betterley's reign as Miss Minnesota USA 2026, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for your community and for future generations of young women?
I hope that they can see themselves in me. and they can see that maybe they have a shot at it. I also hope that they see that art is your superpower. So that's what I like to say. Art is our superpower. And so when my reign is over, they're going to remember artist, creative, authenticity, and sharing your truth, sharing your story, and celebrating that. And I think if I do that, then I've done my job.
That's really beautiful. And hopefully we can have a chat as once you've won the competition. I hope I'm not
Right,
putting the
there we
monkey down
go.
again.
This is Minnesota USA. I'll hop on set and be like, look, we did it.
Yeah. Although it would be nice to have a chat closer to that pageant if you're open to that.
Yeah, we'll have to look at my schedule. I know it gets really busy close to August, but I'm sure we can make something work. But I appreciate everybody who tuned in and found myself entertaining or interesting. So thank you for that.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Take care.